Okay, so you want to own a golf course. Buy a few hundred acres of rolling land, cut some fairways into it, build a clubhouse, and then sit back while wealthy people hand you money for the privilege of walking across your grass. Members pay to join. Members pay every year after that. They pay for lunch. They pay for the cart, and the product you're selling costs you nothing because it's just grass, and grass grows by itself. That's the picture. That's what the brochure sells you. Here's what the brochure leaves out: the water bill that arrives whether or not a single person tees off, the 400 sprinklers running at 3 in the morning, the 18 employees who show up every day to mow ground that generated no revenue yesterday, and a piece of paper, signed decades ago, that can make it legally impossible for you to ever sell the land underneath any of it. Some golf courses are extraordinary businesses. Some quietly consume their owners for 20 years, and a few of them have destroyed people who genuinely believed they were buying a safe, boring, cash-producing asset. By the end of this, you'll know exactly which one you're standing on. Start with what it costs to get in the door. An 18-hole course needs somewhere between 150 and 200 acres. Not 200 acres of anything. 200 acres with the right soil, the right drainage, the right slope, and access to water. Find that near a city and the land alone will end you. Building a championship course from scratch today runs from $8 million to $40 million and up. And that's before you've bought the ground it sits on. The architect David McClay Kidd, who has built courses on both ends of that spectrum, offers a simpler rule, including every fee, every permit, and the grow-in period where you're paying to grow grass nobody is allowed to walk on yet. He says $1 million per hole is a reasonable ballpark figure. 18 holes, $18 million. And that's the golf course. It is not the clubhouse, the cart barn, the maintenance facility, the parking lot, or the irrigation lake you have to dig before you can plant a single blade. So most people don't build, they buy. And in 2024, the average American golf course changed hands for $6.87 million, a 38% jump in a single year, which puts prices right back where they were in 2007, a comparison the industry makes cheerfully, and which should probably make you uncomfortable, for reasons we'll get to. Now the interesting part, because the way a golf course makes money is stranger than it looks. There's green fees, which is the obvious one, and it's the smallest one at almost every serious club. There's dues, paid monthly by members whether they play or not, which is the closest thing this business has to a subscription. There's the initiation fee, a one-time payment to join that can run from $25,000 to well over $180,000 at the top end. There's food and beverage, which at many private clubs loses money on purpose because it's the reason members show up on days they don't play. There's carts, which have absurd margins. There's the pro shop, which mostly doesn't. There's weddings, corporate outings, tournaments. And then there's the layer nobody thinks about, which is that a golf course is a real estate machine disguised as a sports facility. Through the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, thousands of courses in America were never really built to be golf courses. They were built to sell houses. Put fairway frontage on a lot, and you can charge a premium for that lot. The course was the amenity. The homes were the business. Which means, quietly, an enormous share of American golf was constructed by people who never intended to run a golf course profitably. They intended to sell the last house and leave. And here's where the ledger turns. The nationwide average maintenance budget for an 18-hole course was just under $1 million, $999,585 to be exact. At a private club, it's over $1.08 million. In the Southwest, it climbs to roughly $1.5 million, and of that, $900,000 is labor alone. Labor is close to 60% of the entire maintenance budget, every year, forever. And this is only maintenance. It excludes the capital budget, which now averages $303,000 a year and has risen 53% in 3 years, because irrigation systems fail, greens need rebuilding, and cart fleets die. Then there's water. The median 18-hole course in America uses about 148 acre-feet a year. An acre-foot is 325,000 gallons, so the typical course drinks around 48 million gallons annually. Audubon International estimates the average American course uses 312,000 gallons every single day. In Palm Springs, where 57 courses sit in a desert, a single course can consume 1 million gallons a day. And what you pay for that water is not a function of how much you use. It's a function of where you are. A Southwest course pays around $107,800 a year for water, A course in the North Central region pays $4,700. That's not a 20% difference. It's 23 times. And the USGA notes that two courses a few miles apart can have annual water budgets that differ by $1 million, depending entirely on which water district drew a line where. Run the arithmetic that superintendents actually run. Take a course with $1 million maintenance budget doing 15,000 rounds a year. That's $66 of maintenance cost per round of golf played, before the clubhouse, before the loan, before taxes, insurance, or a single salary outside the grounds crew. Most municipal courses in this country do not charge $66. But if you thought the operating costs were the danger, they aren't. The thing that kills golf course owners is a piece of paper. Through the boom, developers sold memberships using something called a refundable membership deposit. You paid $100,000 to join. The club promised to give it back after 30 years, or when you resigned, or when someone replaced you. The developer loved this arrangement because a deposit isn't income. It's a liability. It's not taxed, so you could take a member's money, spend it, and never pay $1 of tax on it. The catch is that a liability is a debt, and you have just built a business that takes deposits, spends them, and promises to return them on demand. You have not built a golf club. You have built a bank. In the autumn of 2008, that became very literal. Bonita Bay Group, a Florida developer, had sold memberships across its clubs for as much as $185,000 apiece. $245 million in deposits sat on its books. When the economy turned, members began resigning and asking for their money. Bonita Bay returned $77 million. Then, in November, it stopped, simply stopped. The company announced a new rule. One refund would be issued for every 3 new memberships sold in a year when nobody on earth was buying golf memberships. The Florida Attorney General sought an injunction and full restitution. A lawsuit followed alleging fraudulent transfer, and it was built on the company's own depositions, in which executives acknowledged that the deposits had gone into general revenue and been spent on land purchases, payroll, and shareholder taxes. One former member put it plainly: you have to leave enough money in an organization for it to pay its debts. Failing to do that willfully, he argued, is fraud. Bonita Bay's position was that it was confident the dispute would be resolved in its favor once the facts were evaluated. Here's the detail that makes this permanent. When a club with refund liabilities goes up for sale, buyers see that debt coming due and either negotiate the price into the ground or walk away entirely. And some buyers simply purchase the entity and put it into bankruptcy, erasing the members' deposits altogether. The industry solved the problem the way industries do. Today, roughly 85% of private clubs offer non-equity memberships. The liability didn't disappear. It moved onto the member. And if you're thinking you'd simply close the course and sell the land, understand the last trap. Many of these courses carry deed restrictions requiring the land be used as a golf course, forever. The law is precise about this. A restriction can prevent you from using the land for anything else. It cannot compel you to operate a golf course, which means the legally permitted outcome is a dead course, mowed by nobody, that can never become anything. Homeowners sue to preserve their view. Developers sue to escape. Courts have gone both ways. Texas needed a statute in 2015 just to create an exit, and it only unlocks after operations have been suspended for 3 full years, requires 75% of surrounding property owners to agree, and even then, at Faro Valley and Corpus Christi, where 82% agreed, the holdouts sued anyway and fought it to the appeals court. Since 2006, more than 2,000 American golf facilities have disappeared, a 13% contraction. And here's the part that matters. The courses that died were disproportionately the cheap ones, the daily fee municipals charging under $40. Golf didn't shrink, affordable golf shrank. Which brings us to now, where the money has arrived and decided this is a wonderful business. Rounds played have hit records 6 years running. Supply is down 8% while play is up 15%. In April of 2026, KSL Capital Partners agreed to buy Invited Clubs, 150 properties, 300,000 members, in a deal reported at $2.6 billion. Private equity now sits behind essentially every major operator in America, where a decade ago, it sat behind one. Cap rates on golf property run above 10%, comfortably better than apartments, retail, or warehouses. And nobody can build new competition, because entitling 150 acres near a city takes years and $40 million. So in the good year, you own a course near growing wealth. Dues arrive monthly. There's a waiting list. Fixed costs stay fixed while your pricing power climbs, and the land appreciates underneath the whole thing. In the ordinary bad year, a drought lands. Water costs jump, labor costs jump, rounds fall, and every single one of your expenses stays exactly where it was, because the grass does not know that nobody came. So if you do decide to buy a golf course, understand what you are actually buying. You are not buying a business that sells golf. You are buying 200 acres of grass with a fixed, unstoppable monthly appetite, a set of promises made to strangers decades ago, and a legal document that may forbid you from ever being anything else. The course doesn't make money when people play, it loses money when they don't, and it never ever stops growing.